Bitcoin miners are dumping massive amounts of Bitcoin back onto exchanges. Typically, this means something massive is in store, and I think something massive is going to happen to Ethereum because of what we are seeing in these metrics. So do me a favor, hit that like button, and let's dive into this video. Now guys, if you are subscribed, which you absolutely should be, then it's no mystery to you because we've talked about this before. There is a flow of money through different cryptos at different times in the market. Phase one, we see a load of people onboarding into crypto through Bitcoin. This is because Bitcoin is the name, the household name, if you like, of cryptocurrency that everyone knows, and is typically the first cryptocurrency that many people will buy into. As well as that, it's not just many people sat at home who will buy into it, but also the big money. They'll get involved in Bitcoin first. From the phase one, we then move into phase two, which is Ethereum. This is very evident if we look at what's happening on the charts. But before diving into the charts, let's look at this news and what it's really showing us and what we can check out in Glassnode in just a moment. Bitcoin miners sent a record $128 million in revenue to exchanges. This is interesting. This happens at a number of different times, and it does signify something significant is about to happen. Now, typically, the Bitcoin miners have been storing their Bitcoin that they've been earning over this period of time, and then they'll start to move it back onto exchanges in order to protect themselves from a fall to the downside or to move that profit into something else. And the reason we see that path to altcoin season the way it is because money flows from the big Bitcoin, the granddaddy, down the line to the slightly riskier but better return assets, of which next in line is Ethereum, the layer one. The king of the layer ones, guys. As much as you might not like it, it's the original, and therefore it will remain the biggest for a very long time to come. But what I want you to look at is this particular chart before we jump into Ethereum, because it can give us an indication of where we are in the market and what this data means. Now look at these red sell-offs, okay? These red sell-offs show us the amount of crypto that's been put back onto the market by miners. And look at how significant the pump in the money flowing off of Bitcoin into exchanges has been right now. And then let's look back in time to where we've seen this happening a few different times. Now, the last time we can see the capitulation inflow. Now, I want you to think about what was happening at this time. Many people were calling for Bitcoin to go lower, and this would have shaken out the miners as well. Okay, they're going to get their money because they need to sell that Bitcoin for running costs, for crypto, etc. And if the price is dumped too low, then they could potentially struggle to continue their mining procedures. So they panic sell in this capitulation inflow. Now, throughout this period of time, they would have been holding, they started to see Bitcoin moving towards the upside, and they would have been holding thinking, well, you know, things are going to get profitable. We might as well hold it on in here and maybe make up for some of the losses we saw in this capitulation inflow. Now, I want to draw your attention to the left-hand side here, the large inflow spike across primary bull market. Now, the inflow starts here, October 2020, and I want you to remember that day because we're going to take a look at that in the charts in just a minute, where we were in Bitcoin and where we moved to in Ethereum, because this is really significant. You can then see throughout the bull market, or the first phase of the bull market, into January 2021, we saw a number of other times that the Bitcoin miners were offloading large sums of Bitcoin or large values of Bitcoin back onto exchanges. This was partly due to the fact that Bitcoin was worth a lot of money at these points, but here, this is our most significant metric that we want to pay attention to, October 2020. And this is why it's so significant for us, guys. We've got Ethereum at the top here, Bitcoin at the bottom on the weekly chart. I'm going to zoom back to October 2020. And here you can see these line here I put in, okay? This is October 2020 on both the Ethereum chart and the Bitcoin chart. Now, what we want to see that's basically been happening at this point is Bitcoin has been moving towards the upside, okay? Since this original COVID crash that happened all the way back in March of 2020. Now, in my opinion, this was the equivalent of what we saw happening from the FTX collapse that we saw at the beginning or the end of last year, Okay, so from there, we then saw Bitcoin back in the last market climbing around 220%. It might not look like much from here, but it was 220% gains. Now, in this bull market, we've seen Bitcoin so far doing around 85% gains, Ethereum not so much. But what's significant is after this, right, we get a little bit of a pullback in Bitcoin, and then Bitcoin starts to grow a little bit more, and then from there, we get Ethereum steadily starting to push up, and then suddenly we get this very big push in just a couple of weeks where Ethereum climbed something like 121%. Now let's zoom into today and have a look at what's going on with Ethereum. Now, since the start of this year, back in January the 9th, we can see that Ethereum pushed up around at 76% and is currently sat up 53% above that level. Now, that was from the 9th of January, and in the same period of time, Bitcoin pushed up 83% and is currently sat at around 81% up. Remember, when Bitcoin pumps, it will start to ebb and flow into Ethereum next. And while it's not been the sexiest coin and the most exciting thing to talk about because there's so much else going on, remember, there is money to be made in these big altcoins. Maybe it's not going to be the 100x gains and things, but it's where you can start to move your money from the Bitcoins into the Ethereums, and then we can start to use it to invest in the likes of HBAR, XLM, Jasmy, whatever it is, guys. And I told you this time and time again, it's not about just picking a winning coin right now and hoping that it goes to the moon, but using the market and the way that it flows to take money from one place and put it in somewhere else and maximize our gains. Because maybe you see 100% gain in Ethereum, then you've got double the money now to invest in something else later on. For example, if I've got $1,000 now and I turn it into $2,000, I can then put that $2,000 into something that hasn't pumped yet. For example, HBAR, where I think I might get my 50x or whatever. Again, because my 50x on my 2 grand is worth 100 grand, rather than my 50x on 1 grand because I didn't get into Ethereum early enough being worth 50 grand. Don't get me wrong, still take my 50 grand, but we're just looking at how we can eke out those extra bits of profit, guys. So what I'm thinking and what I'm seeing on Bitcoin is very interesting. When we've had big pumps, we run into areas of resistance, which we are doing right now. And I do believe that Bitcoin is testing a very significant area. And I don't just believe that, guys. It's pretty obvious, right? But I do think that we could potentially break through. Even if we break through and we come up here, I think we're going to have a bit of a sideways action, maybe a bit of a cool off. And that's when we're going to see a really big pump, in my opinion, in Ethereum. That's obviously not financial advice. I could be completely wrong. But there's something else that you need to pay attention to. And it comes from this website, free website, Blockchain Center. I mentioned this before on the website. We've got 2 metrics here. In fact, we've got lots of things. But I'm just going to show you this Bitcoin rainbow chart, and then I'm going to show you the Ethereum one. Now, a Bitcoin rainbow chart effectively, is just a very fancy way of showing us what happens to Bitcoin and what has been happening to Bitcoin pretty much since all the way back in like 2011, or 2012 pretty much. And you can see that every time we get into this purple zone, you can see it's the code up here is purple zone is just what? It's like Bitcoin shouldn't be this cheap at this time. Basically, a fire sale is the blue level. And you can see we have just moved from the what section into the fire sale. And if we look at where Bitcoin is right now, it's at $30,178. But anywhere under around $32,464 is still considered to be a fire sale. Now, this is interesting because Bitcoin has moved from its kind of lowest level into the next level, but Ethereum is sitting somewhere a bit more interesting. And this we can see in the Ethereum rainbow price chart. Now again, guys, this might just look like, some fancy colors and whatever. It might not mean much to you, but it means something because you can see over a period of time where it's kind of been going. And Ethereum's a bit more interesting because it's slightly more volatile. It doesn't fit necessarily 100% within these bands all the time. At this point, the pink version was like maximum bubble territory. It should have been sold, and yet it climbed to like 3x on that. Now we can see at times here, you can see like the COVID sell-off here, that it dipped well under with the Ethereum price hitting $110. And then what we can see is we have kind of bounced along the bottom of this area, but we are kind of maintaining ourselves in this trend. We're literally finding support at the very bottom of this. Now sat at $1,651. Here you can see the price is currently saying it's $2,096, and it's still a fire sale at this point. Anything under $2,096 is a fire sale, and that's interesting because Ethereum is currently sat just underneath that at $1,860. When I say just underneath, from $2,060, it's still a good 10% off that. Now we're seeing something very interesting playing out, and this pattern here, this falling wedge pattern, or whatever you want to call it, I personally would call it a bull flag, is kind of starting to test the upper levels of this bull flag. Now, what you might think is to take a target for this, that you would just take the height of this, but actually, for a bull flag, you take the height from the top of the flagpole, and imagine this is like a flagpole from the last breakdown to the breakup, and you then bring it to the breakout position of the flag, and you can see this would see Ethereum climbing from current price levels around 38 to 40%. Now that is a very big shove, okay, in the Ethereum price. Now what I want to do is take the Fibonacci tool and I want to bring it to this swing low here. Then I want to bring it up to this swing high, okay? I want to bring it up to this swing high. So swing low into swing high, pull back, and then we get the 1.618 golden ratio. This shows us, this leg up here was this flagpole level here, and now you can see the 1.618 golden ratio Fibonacci number coming in perfectly at $2,600. And if we come across, and if we draw a horizontal line from this, then we can come across and see some interesting things unfold in this area specifically. Now, over a period of time, you can see as we pushed up, we found resistance here. And now this area kind of multiple times, although we did kind of go up above it and down below it, you can see that this is a very, very significant area. $2,600 for Ethereum sits very interestingly. Now, I'm not saying that if we get to $2,600, then we're into like full-blown bull market and we're just going to continue forevermore. But that's 40% that I am hedging my bets on right now as being a good opportunity to see a bit of growth where we might not see that much of a push yet in the kind of larger cap altcoins or into the altcoins, the smaller cap altcoins. Now, this isn't for everyone. I understand if you don't have time to be looking at charts every day and you're not sure about all this, then I get it. You don't necessarily want to be moving your crypto all the time, particularly if you're using hard wallets like you should be. And if you want to find a hard wallet, then there's a link down below in the description. And then you can get your hands on one of these, which is a biometric wallet from Decent. And if you use that link down below in the description, you're going to get a discount because it is an official partner of the House of Crypto. Its biometric wallet uses a fingerprint scanner to log in, connects to your iPhone or your Android device without having to put in any wires. So it's ultra secure. You use Bluetooth. It means you don't have to use it along with your computer. You can just use it with an iPhone. You can just use it with your phone anywhere, guys. It's super convenient, super secure. Link down below in the description for that. So what I'm anticipating, right, is this push. And what happens after that is not 100% certain. But something else that's showing up, and I talked about this on a Bitcoin chart, and it's actually showing very significant things here. And what I want to show you, okay, is this high here, and this high here. Now, what you want to be doing if you're a day trader or you're just trying to look for trends is you want to see a few points that are lining up. And I get it, guys. This big kind of bull run part here doesn't fit 100% within the pattern. But these kind of other lines of support or areas of support, whether they be diagonals, whether they be horizontals or verticals, not verticals, you know, the other ones, they're interesting. They're significant. Let's take these points here, and I've just seen this, okay? And we can drag it across literally the tops, okay? I'm not just trying to force this. Look at it. Look at where that coincides. I'm just going to take a chill out for a moment. Will you look at where that coincides? 3 things we've just identified that pull us to that area, that significant area of interest. And we can see it's here, $2,600. I'm going to zoom in so you can see that literally this is touching, okay? So the target we've got for the breakout of this flag pattern, the 1.618, and then the line of cross here, guys. This, to me, is shaping up to be something enormous. Most significantly, if Ethereum gets up to this level and starts to test that line of support, or resistance, sorry, then we're looking at something else. And this, to me, is, you know, the previous support we then ran around from. We get into more support areas here. And I'll show you these chart patterns all the time. And I know this is looking now like, you know, some kind of birthday cake that's been decorated by a kid, right? I get it. It's looking a bit of a mess. But just look at what I'm looking at and see these patterns start to unfold. They happen on every time frame from the 1 minute to the weekly to the daily. And look at it. This is not 100% going to play out. But from here, you would then anticipate that depending on how long it's going to take, and I'm not saying this is going to happen overnight, guys. This could take, you know, quite some time. That we then have a price target, if it was to break out from that point, from this pattern, which is a symmetrical triangle. So what you can do is you can take from the high of this pattern down to the bottom, okay, the start of this area, and this, you know, is speculative, highly speculative, and you bring it to the breakout area of where we could potentially be breaking out from here, and then I think we get this. Then I think this, for me, is our, you know, 65.94. Obviously, guys, that's pretty rough areas, and you're like, well, okay, fine. What does this mean? When are we going to see this? Well, this is potentially a bull market target for Ethereum, or at least a first bull market leg up. Ethereum. Now I can do something as well. I can take from this swing high and I can drop it down to this swing low down here, guys. And you can see the 1.618 currently sat around $7,200. Now, actually, interestingly, just playing around, if I bring that down to that particular point, then we get very, very close with the 1.618 around this level. Now, guys, will this happen overnight? Is it guaranteed? Who knows exactly, okay? Well, I do know it's not going to happen overnight for sure, but it's starting to piece together. And if you want to learn more about how I look at charts like this and how I'm breaking down these things to give myself targets and how to understand targets, then guys, you need to get in my inner circle. And this is literally from the inner circle. You can see here, this is the 26th of June. I said that I was buying Tenet here, okay? Expecting a 10% push at the price of 0.1222. And then we come down. I saw we continued with the push. You can see that these guys were making profits. Tenet just exploded, wins for now, and then come down through and we can see that currently up 36% on that position. Various people in the group were buying in, bought $50 of Tenet, sold it for $72. Loads of people getting in and enjoying these trades. Guys, it's literally just $9.99 per month. It's linked down below. It's a 5-day free trial. And you could have put in $50 like this, sold it for $72, made yourself $22, and then you would have paid yourself to be in that group for 2 months and had a spare $2 free. Go and get yourself a sausage roll or a coffee or whatever it is you buy with your $2. Guys, that is what I'm seeing happening with ETH right now. Who knows exactly if it's going to play out or not. This is not financial advice. It's just how I see it. If you enjoyed that content, hit the like button. It really helps me out. And if you're new to the channel, you want more crypto advice and trading stuff that's going on all the time, then subscribe and I'll see you very soon with another video.